GB Cycles here with an update on October the 25th. I have a new cycle chart here today. On the top I have my 4-week cycle, in green the 10-week cycle, and in purple I have the 20-week cycle. So the low in March was a 20-week cycle low. The low in June, July was a 20-week cycle low. And let's have a look at this low. I think, well, many markets made their lows in July, while the S&P made its low in June. I think we have here what I call a collapsing cycle or a collapsing oscillation. And I think the real low was in the middle of July. And this makes, I put in a red line here, I think this level is the significant level. As we see now, that's the resistance we are hitting. Right now, my 4-week cycle, as we see, we in the beginning of this cycle, we saw what I call sabotage. We couldn't establish an uptrend. But then when the cycle turned bearish, the market started to behave bullish. And that's probably the influence from this 10-week cycle, as we see. So I don't like the current situation, given the fact that I'm rather bearish and I'm expecting more downside, as the 10-week cycle is suggesting here. So how could this play out? Because you know the cycle is soon turning bullish. So what we often see is two of these 4-week cycles merging into one, and you can't see really, or you can call it, you can have an inversion here, making a top here. So I'll give you some examples of that. But what I could possibly see here is right now, the rest of this week, we have the very bearish phase of my cycle, and my indicators are setting up a downswing. So we should see a downswing, and then early next week we are entering the bullish phase, and we should have an upswing. So it will be interesting what kind of downswing we will get this week, but I don't think we are crashing down. And then it looks like all depends on the Fed decision next week. So given my bearish bias, what should happen is we should make some kind of a top around the Fed decision, and then we should break down into my target for this 20-week cycle low, and it will also be a 10-week cycle low, and it will be a 4-week cycle low. From there on we should have a Christmas rally, but it should probably find resistance at this level, and then we have the capitulation phase in January to March or April. What could go wrong here, so to say? Well, if the Fed decision is a bullish game changer, we could see us rally more in my 4-week cycle, and this 10-week, 20-week cycle low. Well, we will have a 10-week cycle low here, rather shallow, and the 20-week cycle low will then actually be a early low over here. And we will have the Christmas rally with the next 10-week cycle, and you know, the bear market's over. So we can't rule that out. It's definitely not what I'm expecting, but anything can happen, you know. So we have to be prepared. But yeah, this is my main scenario. And let's have a look on the past history. So up here I have shown examples of how two of my 4-week cycles can merge into one. like here, you can't see any cycle low in the middle here, but this is kind of a bullish right translated oscillation. In the beginning here, after the COVID crash, we also have some merging double 4-week cycles. You could call this one in April also a merging one. This is a kind of a bearish left translated one. So I could see us doing that here. Also, let's have a look on past cycle performance. I'm first looking at the 10-week cycle. So this was a low, this was a low, this was a kind of early low. We have a pullback here, which would have been the ideal one, but it came early. And this was a low, and then we have the election panic. That was not kind of supposed to happen. When we, when we look at this low, was at this cycle a high. We have some inversion, some disturbance going on there. So my interpretation here is the market was suddenly expecting we are going to crash down to this 20-week cycle low, but it was all just a fake, a bear trap, and suddenly the market changed its mind. And because we had this big consolidation low here, the actual cycle low here, you can't barely see it. And then we have a 10-week cycle low there, and here, and here, and here, and here. All those look well. And here we have a bit kind of a disturbance again. This would have been the ideal low in the end of February, exactly where the Ukraine war started. So the Ukraine war, well, we tried to rally because it was kind of the ideal place for a low, but then the market realized, oh, this Ukraine war is bad, and we don't want to rally yet, and we've had a late low here. Then another 10-week cycle. This 10-week cycle could have made a low here that would be a higher low. The market was not prepared to start an uptrend here. No, it was, so we had a late low over here. And this 10-week cycle low, well, the S&P made its low early in June, but as I have said, I think this is the real cycle low. And then we have a 10-week cycle low. Well, this also could have been the 10-week cycle low, but that would have been rather bullish. Then the bear market probably would have been over. We would have rallied. But the market found out these signals from the Fed is bearish, so we had a late 10-week cycle low here, and now we are looking for an even lower 10-week cycle low, unless we have a bullish game changer and we rally and the bear market is over. Also, let's have a look at the 20-week cycle lows. So obviously this is a low, this was a bit early low, and this should have been the 20-week cycle low, but all these disturbances here made this into a very early 20-week cycle low. And the next ideal 20-week cycle low is over here, but the market decided this looks like 20 weeks from the recent 20 weeks. So this 10-week cycle low turned into a 20-week cycle low. And then 20 weeks from there would have been here, but here the market got back in sync with the ideal cycle. So we had a very long 20-week cycle low here. So here we are back in sync with the cycle. And this was a 20-week cycle low, and here a 20-week cycle low, and now coming up. The ideal is in the end of November. That would be cycle low here, here. But if things get really bearish, you could even see us having a downtrend into late, 15th to 20th December. It's possible, but